Hi there guys, this is Jordan with Lost Legion Videos. Today I have an interesting matchup for you. It's going to be Delver Shenanigans versus Blue Black Zombies. And basically, before I get started, I would like to thank Lost Legion Games and Comics of West Virginia. This location is Charleston's location. I'd like to thank them for letting me shoot this stuff and doing some commentary. It was a really neat experience getting to get in on this stuff and getting to provide you all cool stuff. And hopefully if you're ever in town, it's a wonderful place, wonderful environment. Definitely check it out. Everybody's very friendly in the area, and the prices are very fair, and so on and so forth. And that was my plug. So back to the game. So here on the right we have a Mr. Max. On the left we have a Travis, or yes, a Travis, and Travis is going to be playing the Blue Black Zombies. Max is going to be playing Delver Shenanigans. And basically Blue Black Zombies is, you know, your standard control with, you know, Captain, Grave Crawlers, Messengers, the whole zombie party going on there. Delver Shenanigans deals more with Korean Dryad, Tyrant, Delver of course, and multicolor spells. So there we see a turn 1 Fume Spitter on Travis's side, and it gets countered with a Mental Misstep. And then Rune Chanter's brought out on Max's side, which, you know, Rune Chanter is pretty amazing in that deck, especially when you're going to be pitching a bunch of instances and sorceries here in a minute. And then it looks like I can see a few caverns, I think. Can't see if he laid one. Almost certain that if he did, he'd name zombies, of course. And I think there's a Blood Artist, Grave Crawler, Liliana, and a Messenger in hand. And yeah, there is the cavern. I do find that kind of odd that he holds some of his cards upside down. Alright, and there's Korean Dryad. She is pretty much the haymaker of the deck, I would say. Because it can just come out of nowhere for insane beats. And then he's going to go ahead and gut shot the Blood Artist in response to the Liliana trigger to sacrifice a creature, which is pretty neat, or a pretty good way of preventing some extra life loss there. Because Blood Artist is one of those things that's just going to get out of control if you let it. And here we see a Delver on Max's side. I think he's going to go ahead and equip. Yep, equipped it with the Rune Chanter Spike, which, if I can remember correctly, there is a Gut Shot, Probe, and a Mental Misstep, so it's getting a 3 bonus on the power end of that. It's not too bad, especially with First Strike, and if it flips, that's pretty nuts, you know, a 6/2 First Striking Flyer for 1 mana, and you know. It's Messenger? Yeah. Okay. And so there we see Liliana kind of showing her synergy with the zombies deck, you know, discarding a Grave Crawler that you can then just instantly play back off of having your Messenger. Max is going to go ahead and flip though. which is it's kind of an interesting play. I don't think you often see a snag here. Like, Max obviously just snagged the messenger, but you don't often see that, for the mere fact of that enter the battlefield effect is kind of crazy. You know, losing 2 life and gonna go and lose another 2 life, and then, you know, in theory, lose another 2 when it dies and comes back in. And I think that Delver is pretty freaking gigantic. I believe that swing, I think he's at 11, is what he was swinging in the air. Well, I'm going to add the live counters in after I do the commentary, so whatever I put in there is the updated one. And then here we're going to see a rules issue, or not a rules issue so much as a play mistake. Travis goes to image the messenger, and when he goes to do so, he realizes he tapped his only blue source, or only blue producer that can produce blue for non-zombies, I should say, for the messenger. And then that's just insane, because that back crack, or that whip back that you saw there was just, it's kind of insane for that, because that was pretty good on the zombie side, if I do say so myself. I think that was a pretty well played out chain of events for him. You know, zombies typically need a nut draw like that, but with that disruption of the vapor snag, you know, disrupting the damage, negating it down to only 2 a turn. And on top of that, the Vapor Snag nets him an additional damage lost, and then it cycles into the graveyard, where then it can pump the Delver. I mean, that's a ton of synergy on Delver's side, so, I mean, for one creature to deal that much damage, and then to bring in the Snapcaster for lethal, it's pretty good. But, and I don't think there were, you know, aside from the Phantasmal image issue, I think both players really did well as far as what they could have played, though we can't really see what Max had in hand, so we can't tell, you know, maybe if there were better plays to have been had with his hand. I think he was debating about going for the gut shot for an extra, you know, one damage to maybe a creature or something, but it's kind of nice seeing a Delver deck that at least not the typical Delver. At our shop, we normally don't see too many of the you know, the blue-white variety or blue-red. It's, if any, that I've noticed from playing in games. Now, I will say, personally, I am lucky enough not to have played enough against it, but I have seen and heard from plenty of other players just how unfair the deck supposedly is, quote-unquote. Of course, I personally can't really tell you, but that is the blue-white Delver, at least. But I am personally a huge supporter of the homebrew. Homebrew to me is just, it's pretty much what Magic should be about, though of course when you mix in prize payouts and stuff, you kind of shy away from encouraging creativity over competitive strategies. Then again, I'm also the guy who was dying to make a trading post deck, so if that tells you anything on what my views of Magic are. And then Travis is going to go ahead and draw first, I think I heard him say. It's odd, but I guess fair enough. Now it's going to be interesting what we see from the sideboard, because I did see some swords on Travis's side. I'm not sure if they went in or not. Not really sure how well they would do, because I don't think they give protection against anything in Max's deck. I'm gonna say mulligan. And now this is, as far as my experience with the zombie decks go, and you are more than welcome to correct me in the comments if you think differently. I've always found that zombie decks mull particularly bad of many of the other decks. It just seems to me, you know, I've played Zombie Pod, I've played Blue Black Zombies. Every time I've played them, a mulligan for that deck is just far worse than most other decks. Not to say that mulligan, like a mulligan in general, is not going to hurt you bad, but especially with where you're going to have to chain off, and you have, like, you know, especially with an aggressive deck, you want to make sure you're going to hit all those specific cards that you need to, you know, like a turn 1 Gravecrawler, like right there. But then again, I'm also a proud supporter of making sure people do mulligans properly as well. You can never take a one-lander. And I don't know what he's doing with his land. That was very funky, just throwing them all about. And then Fume Spitter, and another Fume Spitter. Which Fume Spitter I can see would be has a really good interaction with the Curian Dryad. You know, just sacking it before anything can happen, or in response to some shenanigans, like, you know, Vapor Snag or something, you can just be like, sack. Now, if I remember correctly, there's an issue that's about to come up, and I will... As it's played out, I'll explain it, because it might look a little odd off camera. So he's going to enter the Dryad, which is straight value for him, because everything he plays is going to pump it, because the only thing that doesn't pump a Dryad is, you know, green spells. So here we see Travis is going to sack the Fume Spitter, put a -1/-1 counter on the Curian Dryad. Now the question that's going to be brought up, and it's actually something that's really good to know about sacrificial abilities. So the Fume Spitter, as Max is pointing out, is he's not sure if it's going to hit the graveyard or not, because I think he's going to surgically extract it here. And the big deal about this is, if it's in the graveyard, he can target with Surgical Extraction, pump the Korean Dryad, get the neg-1 counter on there, they negate, it stays a 1-1, it survives, he's out of Fume Spitter, he gets to see the hand and everything else. But if it doesn't hit the graveyard in time, the Surgical is just going to be somewhat of a waste. So they begin to ask everyone, no one's quite sure what's happening, or how to, like, it figures. But, you know, with these sacrifice abilities, you're sacrificing the creature first, then the ability goes on the stack. The creature's gone at that point, and it wouldn't matter. It's in the graveyard as soon as that ability goes on the stack.
Its ability goes on the stack, not him.
Yeah, so here's where things get kind of tricky, because he goes to Surgical Extract, and they're saying that the neg-1 counter goes first. But of course, if I can ever make sure to explain one thing of Magic in any video that I ever do, it's the stack. The stack is your friend. The stack is wonderful. The stack is how everything in Magic works. You put something in, it goes on top of the stack, and it resolves from top down. So for instance, you know, here we see Fume Spitter goes, then Surgical goes, then Korean Dryad's ability triggers, and of course Max is on the side where he gets to choose where the Korean Dryad and Surgical resolve, because they're after the Fume Spitter, they go on top, and he gets to order them however he wants. So they're both going to resolve before Fume Spitter even gets to do anything of his. Fume Spitter, like I said, as soon as he sacrifices though, he goes to the yard, so Surgical's going to pull him, and it's going to be good. And there we're actually trying to explain, we're all around this table trying to explain how the stack will deal with such a situation. And this is very important. Whenever you're playing a game that can have tight interactions like this, you need to be aware of what's going to, how things are going to set, and how functionally your strategies can be completely negated or defeated. And then now they're debating on how things go, because I believe Travis is trying to race out that he's going to smack him with the Fume Spitter and knock out the Korean Dryad. But this is so critical to any game you ever play. Excuse me. Because often enough, you know, people will tap and activate abilities or something just to be, you know, in response, do this, and then on the stack that, you know, you activate an ability off a creature or something that requires that creature to still exist, and then they Doomblade it, it's dead, it's gone, nothing matters anymore. And these, something so, or at least for me, it seems relatively simple to understand the stack as to how it works. Can be the difference between an entire game. You can throw away an entire match just because you don't understand simply how to order your plays. Then again, that also goes with land plays, creature plays, and anything else of the game, but that's something that people typically kind of ignore. Pretty sure Max is leaving that one open just for the snag. At least it would seem so. Which is excellent because he can just go straight for the image, target it, make it get sacrificed, build his Dryad outside of the Gravecrawler's range, can block it for days, and leave it in the dust. Which, off of 2 lands, I'm not quite sure what Travis drew here. Okay, he's just gonna go ahead and lay out a grave crawler, build up his dryad. Ha! And then he's gonna go ahead and Thought Scour just to build his guy. And like I said, I figured there was a 2-for-1 in there somehow, because now his pike's gonna be a little bit bigger. He took out the image and he got his dryad up. And then Talron's going to make things a little trickier, because now not only is he going to be able to build the dryad, he's going to be able to get drakes out of it. So now he gets a 2/2 drake, builds the dryad, and it's very. This is what I was trying to say earlier about the mulligans. For zombies, this is just one of those things that it's going to be so tough to recover from this. Because as aggressive as he can get with his grave crawlers, you can't outpace. I think that's a 5/5 dryad, you know, a 2/2 flyer, and basically a 2/2 that is producing 2/2s with flying every turn. I think he's going to image the tower and blow him up, but I mean, it's already gotten the value out of it. And 2 lands is also not where you really want to be, especially against a control deck. And then he's gonna so he just played Snapcaster. He surgically extracted the grave crawlers, which double buffed the dryad and got rid of a huge threat that was just sitting in the yard. But honestly, I don't see where the zombies player could have gotten them back in time for them to be semi-relevant, because without the blocking or anything of that nature, it's just pretty much a mana sink a turn for, you know, the next turn to go aggressive. So here he's going to drop Captain. Of course, he's just going to take out the Dryad in a Death Touch fueled run. But if he can play the Pike here and equip it, that's going to be, I mean, a pretty nasty Dryad. Okay, or he's just going to play Tower now. And then, here's a good play. Alright, and there's Max just learning about the Death Touch, which makes the block a whole lot better. Verdict, he's gonna make him sack a creature. Because Dryad was pretty gigantic, which that's, you know, a play mistake on Max's side, just to let that thing go through. But he's just gonna draw 3 of a flashback Ponder. And here's your Talran. Talran doesn't even have to do anything. Just for playing spells, which is what a Delver deck is going to do anyways, it's going to just churn you out these tokens that are of pretty good value. And that makes that next swing just so beefy, and the removal that zombies would have, like that verdict, just that so much less effective, I guess you could say. Even in Doomblade, because I don't think the mass removal that zombies ran, at least back when I used to play it, was Black Suns. Now they might have they should have Killing Wave, but with that punishment mechanic, you know, and then as you can see, now Max has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10 in the air, just off of and they're gonna go ahead and shake it up. And there was a Killing Wave on the bottom of the deck, but and now they're just gonna go ahead and discuss. But okay, we'll be back here in just a little bit. I'm gonna upload the next video in round 2. We got some goblin action for you. Hopefully you enjoyed our first actual live FNM video. Please do leave comments. Tell me how I can help out and make out a better video for you guys. Max will be joining me with commentary next time. The video is out. So come back, check out the next video, and hope you like this one.